Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Don't forget to leave a like, comment, and subscribe if you're enjoying any of the content, but let's get right into it. Let's talk about weapon tier list of Season 8 on Apex Legends. So we're going to go through every single one of the guns, and don't worry, I'm going to timestamp each of these categories for you. But let's just agree first and foremost that it's better to have a gun than no gun. So obviously at the very bottom I put fist only. We're going to go through C, C+, B, B+, A+, and then S. I'm going to do my best to put all these guns in a category based on pubs, ranked, and as well as competitive. So I'll break those down and why I put them in a certain category, but also discuss them and their overall usage and how beneficial they are. So let's start off with C. So first off, let's put the P2020 in C. Now, the issue is that even if you put hammer points with it, it's kind of a bit of a meme weapon. It's viable, it's fun, you can definitely do the trigger finger, but most likely you're going to see people trolling with it. It's a bit of a troll gun. And again, hammer points do boost it up even higher, but then again, you still need another gun to get the overall crack with the weapon. So I'm going to put the Mozambique as well in the C category. Same reason as above, because you can put hammer points on it, but still you need another weapon to get the crack. So regardless if you're playing competitive, if you're playing tournaments, there's no way in heck you're going to run a P2020 in Mozam with hammer points. Just most likely not going to see it. As well as ranked, you can kind of do it for the meme, but again, you got to get the solid crack initially, and if you're doing it for pubs, you're doing it for content. That's really kind of the justification behind it. Now, I know the alternator is definitely doing a lot better currently, but I'm going to put it on C+. Now, the reason why it goes in C+ is that whenever you start to get better armor, blue, purple, red, you need to get a better weapon such as the R99, the Volt, the R301. Every other weapon provides a lot more utility. Granted, the alternator is good at the start whenever you don't have a weapon, so it's a great alternative at the start. Then it has its place. But again, later on, you would never see somebody say, I want the alternator over an R99, an R301, or any other weapon that we're going to discuss in this category, just because of the DPS output. Definitely better. Again, they did buff it. It's definitely better than what it was. But if you're using it, I mean, it's just okay. So let's just keep moving. Let's keep moving onwards. Now let's do the RE45 next. I think the alternator is definitely better than the RE45, but again, it's a weapon you pick up at the start. It does have a hop up, but it doesn't change how viable it is later on in encounters. So just something to be mindful of. Alternator better than the RE45 though. Now another one, kind of controversial, is the L-Star. Now I still put the Havoc, the Devotion, the Volt, all above the L-Star. The L-Star is a lot of fun. It has great hipfire potential, and it's not a bad weapon per se. But when you have the fully attached weapons for the other guns, even at the start, it's a great weapon at the start. It's not bad. That's why they're kind of in the C+ territory. They're better than a P20 and a Mozambique, but most likely once you start gearing up, getting more guns, at mid-range, this becomes really, really hard to hit any of your shots. And because it's a lot harder to hit any of your shots at mid-range when that's where encounters are going to go, usually the L-Star is good for close-range encounters at the start, or even for endgame, but at that point, by endgame, you should find a Havoc, a Devotion, anything along those lines. So in pubs, great to pick up at the start. Same thing for ranked. For competitive, you just want to get rid of this gun as soon as humanly possible. So let's move on. I know there's a new gun. Obviously, let's talk about the 3030. Now, the reason why this is a little bit higher is it offers a bit of mid-range capabilities, which is why it's a bit over these weapons. You can quick scope it, do a lot of early damage. I mean, I guess ideally you'd want to grab one of these at the start, especially whenever you're trying to get the initial damage, but if you have good shots and good accuracy, this gun is good. The thing is that it doesn't trump a lot of the other guns in the following categories as well. Now, the G7 is definitely one of my favorite guns, but at the same time, it offers the same thing like the 3030. It's definitely been utilized less, and I feel like it's definitely slept on. These guns are great for ranked and tournaments. But the thing is, for pubs, they definitely rank a lot lower. And even for ranked and tournaments, there's definitely better alternatives that we're going to discuss that are going to be put in the B+ category. But for B, these aren't bad guns. They're good. They're just depending on the other weapon that you're using is how good that they're going to be and the number of attachments. So that's why it goes in the B category. Now, I truly love using the Sentinel as of late. I enjoy it a lot more than I did before, but the thing is that it's not as good as other snipers. It definitely feels a niche. I love the bolt action feel. It's slow, it does a lot of damage, but for most in pubs, you're going to want to get rid of it unless you're just rocking it and you feel very comfortable with it, which I've rocked it towards the end, and it's really good. So it fits around B because it's like a 30-30. It fits the same category as a G7. And in tournaments, it's still a good gun, but you ideally would love to grab a triple take, a longbow. Anything else along those lines, you're not going to utilize your cells, especially in ranked. If you have an abundance amount, yes, then you're definitely going to utilize them more. But the thing is that when you're caring a lot about resources in tournaments, this drops further down on the list. For pubs, it kind of sits in the middle. It's just okay. And then for ranked, it's just okay as well. I personally love the gun. I love it. I would rank it higher. But also I'm trying to factor in everything else in terms of where I'm placing this gun. So let's go on to the next gun here, which is the Devotion. So the Devotion, before you get upset, the Devotion is amazing. I actually have it with a turbocharger and without. Currently, this is ranked without a turbocharger. I repeat, without a turbocharger. At the start, the ramp-up time can be really rough, but it does spray and it does a lot of damage. So these are really close to having an alternator, RE45 or L-Star, because the ramp-up time, if you don't get a hop-up on it, can be extremely detrimental and hard to use. So you need the hop up, you need the turbocharger, because then that gun just instantly boosts up to being completely overpowered. But the ramp up time, especially if you're facing off against a Mastiff, somebody who's got strong wingman shots, I mean, it's going to get you in trouble. Now in the same boat, Havoc, the same principle price applies here as the Devotion. Don't worry, it's going to go up higher in the list. I'm highlighting because the turbocharger just makes such a big difference for these two weapons specifically, so I'm kind of tying them together. But of course, as they improve and get better, then naturally, you know, they go up higher in the list. But the ramp-up time has gotten me killed many times on pubs, ranked, even in tournament play, of trying to snag a kill. Now, the ramp-up time isn't bad against an alternator, an RE45, the L-Star. The reason why it's not on the same par is because you can add attachments. Maybe you'll get lucky, maybe you'll get a mag, maybe you'll get the turbocharger at the start. Kind of all RNG. Now, the next gun I want to discuss is going to be the Hemlock. Now, the Hemlock hipfire has definitely got nerfed. It's still an amazing weapon. Individuals like No Coco Puzzle will place it above S tier A+, but for most individuals who don't really have the accuracy or can't really land their shots with the first initial shots or land all headshots, this drops down a lot further. For pubs, it's a great weapon. You stack a 3x, 2x, 1x. This gun is just extremely good. It's really, really strong. I personally really like this weapon. But factoring it in across the whole player base, you don't see many people rocking and ranked unless you are No Coco Puffs or some other pro player. In tournaments, you see individuals kind of stray from this gun even. I'm kind of surprised, especially when I'm shoutcasting. I don't see a lot of Hemlock. Obviously, I see a lot of other guns, which we're going to talk about a little later. So I kind of put it smack dab in the middle here. No offense to the weapon. I think it's great. It's just where it currently sits. Now, the charge rifle, most annoying weapon to deal with as a pro player in a tournament or ranked. This gun is extremely frustrating, and for pubs, I mean, it's easy to use. So it goes in B+ because there's like barely any recoil. In fact, right now, I believe the gun, when you shoot, I don't think it even kicks at all. I think something's wrong with it in terms of overall kick. But in ranked, it gives you nice, easy shots, and then tournaments, it's free poke to level up your armor. So it goes in B+. Technically, in tournaments, it should go a little higher just because the gun is that annoying as well as ranked. But everyone would probably put it... I mean, it's Charge Rifle Charlie. It's extremely annoying to deal with. It doesn't feel like it's a well-respected gun at times just because of how easy it can be to use, which is why I'm putting in B+. It's notable. It's definitely better than, let's say, grabbing a 30-30, a G7, or a Sentinel just because it's that much stronger. But there are definitely more respectable weapons on that list. Now, naturally, because of that, I put the longbow right next to the charge rifle. I personally would always grab a longbow. It just feels more like a respectable weapon. It's good in pubs, but at the same time, you won't see everyone rocking it. It does, in my opinion, when you get extended mag and you rock the thing with a higher magnification, goes above a 30-30, and the G7 has a faster bullet velocity, also less bullet drop on the gun. And it's definitely better than the Sentinel in terms of rate of fire. So when we're looking at this gun and trying to place it in what we believe it should be placed at, B+. It falls in line. Naturally, the charge rifle is a lot easier, but I'm putting this on the same line because it's, you know, a little bit more respectable in terms of its overall usage. So it makes sense to place here. Now this one, obviously in the polls, I saw that the flatline was highly well regarded and people loved it. So I put it here. On the list on B+. Because the thing is that there's a lot of other options on A plus, and S tier that are definitely better. But the thing is that it kind of falls along the B plus line. Now, I'm going to segue as well. This is kind of a controversial pick to place it here, but the Spitfire I would put as well on the B plus. If you like the spray and pray method, the Spitfire is a better go-to weapon. I say that hesitantly. I would always grab a flatline over a Spitfire, but I understand based on the poll as well that you guys submitted that the Spitfire is still quite popular over the Hemlock, over the 3030. Now, I'm not going to highlight this heavier than the Wingman, though, and I'm going to explain that a little later, but I am going to give it at least a B plus rating, and I'm going to put the flatline here on B plus because most individuals will either go flatline or they'll go Spitfire. I think those who really love to ADS and land their shots will go flatline. Those who go full aggro, full Rambo mode will grab the Spitfire. Just where my opinion of where that sits. Now for A, the Eva has been doing a lot better in terms of DPS output. It's definitely slept on at the moment, and in terms of if you're running a spray weapon, a sniper, the Eva is a great alternative. This almost goes down to B plus depending on your accuracy. Some, I guess you could say maybe casuals or those who prefer the flatline are going to interchange these. This is a pretty tough one. I can literally go like that and flip-flop them, but I'm just going to leave them here for now just because the Eva 8 is a slept-on weapon, and because of the recent changes and how much damage it can do and how fast it can knock somebody, especially when you're in a bubble fight. Gibraltar's still extremely powerful, and end zone, when he drops the bubble, the Eva 8 is just going to be a lot more viable for pubs, for ranked, and even tournament play. Now, I put the Mastiff on the same line just because it is definitely required for bubble fighting and everything, but it's kind of interchangeable. If you pick up the Eva over the Mastiff, the Eva before the patch and everything, I would drop this almost down to like a B or even C. But because of the adjustments and how consistent the damage is now compared to the Mastiff, it doesn't feel like you're throwing when you're grabbing an Eva 8 compared to a Mastiff. Definitely feels like it's a lot more viable, especially when you're going for the quick peeks around corners. So that definitely fits along this line. Now, when we're going into the next weapon here, I'm going to move up. I know this is a crate weapon, but the thing that this is a crate weapon still is that it falls along A. And I'm going to talk about the other weapons because I've done this many times where I've seen a Prowler in the crate, and if I have these other weapons along A plus and SS, I still don't pick this up. And sometimes I may not pick up the Prowler if I got a fully kitted Eva, or if I got a fully kitted Mastiff, or even if I'm using a longbow and I got a fully kitted flatline, I may not even pick up the Prowler if I have a fully kitted flatline. I'm not gonna lie, I've done it before. Now, the Prowler is great, the select fire, the burst, but if you got a lot of attachments, a lot of ammo on the other gun, you kind of feel stuck, and the reason why I didn't put it lower is because it's a crate weapon. It comes with every attachment, so that's not bad. But I think it fits along the A line. There could definitely be a better crate weapon. In fact, I would probably put the Devotion in the crate weapon, which is a great segue. Let's talk about the Devotion. Actually, real quick, let me finish up A. I just realized I didn't finish up A. A, turbocharger on a Havoc. This is definitely along the A line. I would say it's even better than a Prowler whenever you have a turbocharger and it's fully kitted. It's an absolute boss. It goes from B, goes up to A, trumps all these weapons just because the turbocharger does a heck of a lot of damage, especially if you got a lot of energy ammo associated with it. Turbocharger adds a lot of weight. I know the recoil can be a little difficult to control on controller, but on PC, it's very manageable. Honestly, I've seen people on PC manage this, but again, you need the turbocharger. But how often you're going to get that varies, which is why it's kind of in two places and why it drops down further on the list. Now, next up, let's talk about the Devotion. Good segue, and then we'll keep going. Don't worry, I'm just going to keep going with the weapons. Devotion. The Devotion obviously is a fantastic gun. It's a mouse one button or trigger button, literally just laser people down. If you have a turbocharger, if you don't have a turbocharger, this drops further down on the list, but if you have a turbocharger on the Devotion, it definitely does a lot better. It's so broken and it really sprays people down. It's a very frustrating weapon to deal with. I personally don't always grab it, but I can't deny the stopping power of it is very frustrating in tournaments, pubs, ranked. If somebody has a turbochargered out Devotion, especially with how the meta has gotten where the Mastiff has been nerfed and the Eva, this gun is just really, really strong if somebody is just mouse wanting to win. Now, I know we talked about it earlier, but the Wingman I'm putting an A+. The Wingman, if you land your headshots and you land your shots, this gun is next level. It's overpowered. I would take it over a Prowler because it slaps. It's really good. I know, based on the poll, that you guys put it higher, or obviously put the Flatline and the Spitfire higher, but in terms of ranked pubs and realizing that the casual audience should use the Wingman more, especially with the extra bullet, it just is so good. It's really good when it's in the right hands. So that's why I put it so high up, and it definitely gives the boost, and it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun to use. It's extremely satisfying of a gun. Now A+, because these get paired together often, is the R99. The R99 fully kitted, I could say, is still better than the Prowler, just because it's such a fast rate of fire weapon. Faster than the Prowler, and it does a lot of damage whenever you get your spray done correctly on the R99. Very strong weapon. I don't think anybody can deny that. When we look at the breakdown, it's still better than the G7 RE45 alternator. I agree with you guys in the poll, which is why it's moved up. It's just definitely better than anything here, and most people would grab it as your strong secondary, so it's definitely A+. Now the Volt, because it's so controversial in terms of I know we did R99 versus Volt. It was literally like a split 50-50 between the two. These go hand in hand. I still, to this day, it depends on my mood, depending on which one I grab, but the Volt is an extremely powerful spray weapon, and overall very powerful. Good gun. Now I'm going to move next the Triple Take on A+. The Triple Take is overpowered, just as broken. I call it Triple Take Terry compared to the Charge Rifle. It's just that good of a gun. It's kind of hard to deny it. So overall, what we're looking at here, again, is that the Triple Take's better than the Charge Rifle. It's better than a range in terms of, it's like a shotgun. It's literally a shotgun. The Triple Take's literally a shotgun. It's better than a 30-30. It's better than a G7. It's better than a Sentinel, because you just have so much spread on it, and the Triple Take has the choke already added to it, adding the Triple Take to the next level. Easy A+ weapon. I don't know how they're going to nerf that gun. It just does really well. I mean, sometimes even when you land the Triple Take shot close range and you snag that shot, it can be just as good as a Mastiff, if not better. Same thing with the EVA 8. So, good poke damage. Now for the S tier. Kraber. I know people have done this on their list and dropped it lower, but there's nothing better than landing in a pub ranked tournament, a Kraber shot, headshot, knocking the opponent instantly, and just full on inting and pushing. That's why I put it S tier, because it literally can change a full fight in Apex Legends. It's just that good. So I'm not really sure why I've seen other tier lists drop this down further. Maybe because it's not a difficult gun to use. I really feel like it's quite easy to use. It's just my opinion. Listen, it's my opinion. I could be wrong. You know, I just want to stress my opinion on this. That I'm confident that everyone can do it. I'm that confident that anybody can pick up a Kraber and use it. Even if you say you can't, I don't believe you. I know you can do it. I believe in you personally. Now, the PK goes on S tier. It's definitely better than a Mastiff. The choke, since the Mastiff and EVA have been nerfed, it's just a great weapon. Now, if you got a fully kitted R99 and tons of bullets, you may not. These are can be interchangeable in a sense. You can definitely drop this to A+. But because it's already fully kitted, it comes out of the crate, it's just a big W. Some things I noticed that people haven't used the PK in a while, so they feel like their shot's a little off. Just go in the test range and practice with it, and you'll slap with it again. Now, this one I boost up to S tier because everyone grabs the R301. Even from your polling, picked up the wrong poll, the R301 is quite literally the most popular light weapon. I agree with that. It's really, really strong. It's really great. I don't think that it's got much faults once you got it fully loaded. It's good close range. It's good long range. It's good mid range. It's got low recoil. It's easy to use. There's nothing wrong with it. I mean, you picked it up at the start and you level it up, it's going to be your weapon till the end. Everyone's always pinging, ping me an R301. The R301 just slaps. So if you got a 1x, 2x irons, it's got good irons. It's really, really strong. We look at all these other weapons. I would grab a 3x or R301 over a Triple Take, over an R9, over a Volt, even over a Wingman. Over all these guns, even when you see in tournament play, pubs, or ranked, you will see people really slap with the R301. Now, again, I hope you guys all found this video helpful. I really appreciate the support. Let me know your thoughts. I know this is my personal thoughts. I try to incorporate ranked, pubs, everything all far in between to really discuss these weapons, but I'm super confident looking at this tier list and seeing the finalized list here of all the guns and weapons that this is it. This is the list, you know? All right, but thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys all next time.